words, words. I'm so sick of words. I get words all day. First from him and now from you. Is that all you blighters can do? Don't talk of stars burning above. If you're in love, show me. Tell me no dreams filled with desire. If you are in love, show me. And the name of that musical is? I almost wanted to say, and now for the trip to Hawaii. But you knew that song. Words, words, words. There was a movie that was out many, many years ago. Woody Allen was the star of it. And he was playing a man searching for faith and searching for religion. So the camera showed us him going into Baptist churches and going to see a rabbi and so forth. But one of the visions was that he went to a Catholic church. He went to the rectory and rang the bell, and the priest invited him in. Sometime later, the door opened, and he came out carrying all these books. Words, words, words. Well, we're kind of formed with words. All those words we learned in school, all the various writings of all the great people in our church. St. Thomas Aquinas and his Summa Theologica. Huge amount of words. But St. John, in that reading, says, do not love just by words, as that song said. If you're dealing with love, show me. And so John says, it is with deeds and the truth that we witness to our faith. And then he says, and remember what that it means. It means that you keep the commandments you have received, and they are to believe in Jesus as the one of the Father sent, and to love one another. Well, we hear that so often, love one another. Well, we're kind of friendly to each other, aren't we? I mean, those are good deeds. But when you realize the challenges of love sometimes, and the love that seems to be lacking somewhere in this world, where there's so much hatred and so much war and so many guns and so many deaths that don't need to be. Love is trying to find a way in there somewhere. And this love is what St. Paul had to try to share as well. And he had to do it in tough times because he was brand new to the ministry. He had crucified the church, as you know, tried to condemn it, tried to imprison it. And now he's caught on. The fire is within him. The Spirit is within him. And now he's the greatest preacher around. And he's taken that preaching out even in among the Gentiles. And today we find him even taking on the Hellenists. And they're saying, we're going to kill you. He's got the love of God within him. He wants to share that so badly. And yet he feels this pushback just as Jesus did. But all that time, and it's not in this reading, but Jesus says, he says words that are repeated constantly in these readings. I didn't realize it until I was reading the gospel. It just hit me. The same thing was repeated over and over. And Paul put it in these words, I live, no longer I, but Christ lives in me. Is he boasting or is he being humble? It's not me who's doing all of this. It's the Christ within me. And again, it's in the gospel. We live in Christ, Christ lives in us. This whole interior thing, this intimate way in which we think of our God. Jesus gives us yet one more image of that in the gospel. I am the vine, you are the branches. Again, another image of talking about one thing being intimately bound up with the other. I am the vine, you are the branches. I had a professor when I was in sabbatical years and years ago, wonderful man. He always had a little play on the words. He said, do you know what that means? Do you know what it means to be branches on that vine? It means we share the same sap. Never heard that before in the Bible. The other one was okay. But the same sap that flows through Jesus is what flows through us? Yes. That's that intimate sense of Jesus' presence. Now we call it, we're the church that always keeps saying over and over again, we believe in the real presence of Jesus in the bread and the wine. If you don't believe that, leave. No, but that's really what we say a lot. The bishops are just making sure that we believe in real presence. Why real presence? Why not something else other than just that presence? One night I came home with a family that had taken me to a confirmation. And we came home to the grandparents' home, and the grandfather was always in bed because he was so sick. He'd been bedridden for years. And the grandmother, opened the door. She said, something's wrong. The grandfather had died while we were gone. I spent 3 hours in that house. I didn't know what to do. I made a couple phone calls. I brought some food to people. I sat down and talked to the 8th grade granddaughter who was staying with him while we were gone. But in the end, I thought, by the time I was ready to leave, I said, could we all pray? Let's get Grandpa and pray. Oh, yes, let's do that. And we did that. And as I was leaving, they said, oh, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. And I thought, I didn't do anything. He said, you were present. You were present. You were really present. What a gift. But it seems like nothing because I didn't do anything. I didn't do any good deeds. Maybe a few. But that sense of presence, that sense of oneness with another, it's very hard to find it sometimes. In conversations, I hear more monologues than dialogues. You notice when you're in a conversation, somebody's talking, you're thinking, oh, I know how I'll respond to this. I can tell a better story. Did you hear this one? It's very hard to be truly present to someone else. And that's what we believe of our faith. That this presence of God is not out there, but within us. And it's been said over and over in the readings. But what they tell us in school, what we pass on in teaching, is we say it's the real presence. But it's the presence of Jesus, not just there, but the resurrected, the death and resurrection. You hear those words all the time in the prayers. The Paschal mystery, it was in the prayers today. Paschal mystery. That means the moment when Jesus died and yet was raised up. That's the secret of life. Sacrificial love leads to better life. And that's the real presence. That's the presence that's within us that calls us to share that presence in ways we don't even think we're doing, and yet we do. How many things you've done beautifully for others, and they'll say thank you. You say, don't think about it. No problem. But it comes out of you. And so when I think of real presence, my mind goes right to the bread and wine, or it goes to the monstrance. Why don't we ever think of it here? We're the walking monstrance. We're the ones who have discovered that we are branches of a vine that's called Jesus. And we are to believe in him. And we are to show that belief in deeds and in the truth.